If you've played the original Little Nightmares 2 may appear on the surface to be retreading the same dark and creepy ground that the first one covered. Thankfully, this isn't the case, as Little Nightmares 2 adds all new truly terrifying foes, much more effective scares, and thrilling chase sequences on an emotional and haunting journey that takes about as much time to complete as its predecessor. Little Nightmares 2 is an exciting horror adventure only faulted by its inconsistent platforming and lackluster puzzles. But even with its issues, it never failed to keep my attention with its fantastically dark and twisted art style and satisfying frantic set pieces all throughout its 5-hour story. Little Nightmares 2 is an incredible collage of haunting imagery, environmental storytelling, puzzles, and platforming. Its story sees you controlling a new protagonist called Mono, who frees and then partners up with the protagonist of the first game, Six. As a gameplay mechanic, Six is surprisingly useful throughout each section, with her often bringing along useful items that you may have missed. She also adds extra mobility to the duo, as you can boost each other up to higher platforms than you would have been able to solo. Thankfully, there aren't any downsides to this AI companion, seeing as she's perfectly baked into every section she helps in. Similar to the first game, Little Nightmares 2 opts to tell its story through the actions of the pair and the world around them, with no dialogue the entire way. The NPCs move erratically and in such a disturbing way. The sewn-up people you find have twisted expressions still on their faces. You walk into rooms and find people have hanged themselves, not wanting to be in such a horrifying, warped reality anymore. The world is painted with such a dark and moody brush. Each scene is a desolate, creepy work of art. The main villains of the story are also designed in such an impressively grotesque and threatening way that I can't help but enjoy every second running away from them in terror. Like the first game, each villain has their own domain where they'll chase you down and kill you on sight. Traversing their domains while avoiding their gaze is extremely tense, with the villains jumping into action or even transforming to catch you. Eventually, these interactions lead to what Little Nightmares consistently does exceptionally well: intense, heart-pounding chase sequences. They're a perfectly paced cherry on top of these enemy encounters that mostly consist of sneaking around the environment and escaping certain death by the skin of your teeth. A lot of the gameplay side of this adventure is either puzzle solving, platforming, or their newly added combat system. Puzzle solving is often very satisfying, with you entering a room not knowing how to progress, to piecing together what you're supposed to do, then eventually figuring it out and moving to the next room. While which there is enjoyable, I found the game did often rely on obscuring the solutions to the puzzle, rather than creating a complex puzzle to begin with. Prime example being a room I was stuck in for far too long, where I was rearranging the tops of chess pieces until I noticed that a piece of the environment around the corner from the chessboard looked interactable. I then interacted with it to reveal the solution for the chessboard. Puzzles like these usually had me trying to figure them out with pure brain power, when the actual solution wasn't in front of you, but obscured somewhere else, which isn't as fulfilling as figuring it out for yourself. A totally new addition to Little Nightmares is the combat system, which is not very fun. Due to the above-the-head camera angle and how often the game plays with perspective, the incredibly slow and unresponsive swings of your situational sledgehammer are hard to time and plan out. With tweaks, I can see the combat improving in the next game, but as of now, enemies run up to you just far away enough to be out of range for your attack, but close enough to kill you in a single pounce. It was incredibly frustrating to have my progress halted for the next 10 minutes, repeating the same section because you only get one good shot at killing an enemy before they kill you. There is also continued inaccuracy of the platforming. Again, partially due to the camera angles. It's sometimes hard to gauge the distance or even the placement of a jump. I cannot tell you how many times I ran to jump for a rope I could climb, but missed by an inch behind it, in front of it, or just completely overshot it. It just happens so often. Thankfully, the game doesn't punish you for dying and you restart in the same area you died rather quickly afterwards, but do be aware that you will have dozens of meaningless deaths throughout your journey. Something Little Nightmares 2 nails consistently across the board is its strong visual style. I was regularly in awe of the design of each room, each meant to give you a sense of distress and unease with its twisted and distorted look. It does a fantastic job setting the atmosphere and instilling the feeling of being a small child navigating the horrific nightmares of being chased through a forest, the uneasiness of hospitals, and the anxiety of doing something you're not supposed to in school. It's commendable how well the art team at Tarsier Studios encapsulated their vision, because it's so consistently effective throughout the entire game. Little Nightmares 2 is an incredibly effective indie horror adventure that nails most of what it's going for aesthetically, but slightly falters in its gameplay department. Thankfully, it mixes its mechanics up enough in its quick 5-hour campaign that the lackluster bits aren't too detracting to get through. All of its elements come together to create an intoxicating horror experience that I consider a must-play if this genre interests you, because from its twisted, horrific visuals to its thrilling chase sequences, Little Nightmares 2 never failed to have me fully engaged and excited for what trick they would attempt next. And with that, that'll be it for the day, and I hope you plan on staying here for more gaming content. And if you didn't know, every week I stream on Wednesdays here at 4L Nerds. I usually play newly released games or stuff I'm about to review, so come by and say hi.